Yo, hi everybody. So, in this video, I'm just going to be talking to you about diversification in your project and how that helps. So, one thing that you'll learn no matter what scripture or what text you read is that focusing narrowly on one item, yes, it has its advantages, and yes, I believe in doing that. But again, you can't have one client or one product in the funnel. So even in agriculture, it's the same. If you're going to be doing maize, you can't do just maize in case something happens and the maize is disturbed. For example, right now, people planted maize, and in places like Mubende, there hasn't been any rain for the last month or so. So what does that mean for you? For you, it means you have to focus and have a plan B. What is your plan B as a farmer? Now, what I've done is I planted cabbages and I've planted onions and eggplants. Those are my three commercial projects. Now, what happened is throughout those projects, I've had setbacks, which you do with agriculture. For example, now the rain has stopped and I hadn't worked on irrigation yet. So, what am I doing? I'm going to borrow a pump from a friend and utilize a water pump to irrigate my cabbage. Fair and fine. But there are other problems like blight and other diseases that will affect me, and it's known. The problem is you've got a lot of fake chemicals, so I've been spraying and we've been doing this whole thing weekly, but you still have those problems. Now, how do you fight those problems? Is what I've done is I've also planted beans. Now, maize and beans are my fallback plan. I know guaranteed, there's a market for maize and there's a market for beans. It might be a lower earning product or produce compared to things like cabbages, things like onions, but you're guaranteed to get some revenue from the sale of maize and beans. So I always have something there which I know is guaranteed. Now I have beans and we've harvested beans and we're going to be dehusking the beans or beating them, which is the exercise, the practice here, and then that will give me some money to go out and buy a pump if I have to buy a pump, go out and solve other problems, and have my own income and solve my own expenses. Guaranteed. Even if they don't come out the best, you'll always have a market for what you have in terms of maize and beans. Now, yes, you should specialize. So I'm working on a specialization of cabbages, and I want to specialize in cabbages and onions on a crop rotation basis. Cabbage this season, onion next season. But however, I'm wise enough to know that as we are learning, you and I, we are on this journey together of learning. We have to always have something that generates income in the field. So others will go the extra mile, and while doing crops in the field, they also have chickens, poultry, some livestock or animal that they have, and that also generates income. So things like broiler chicken, layer chickens, dairy cows, goats, those things also generate an income consistently if they are done right and can help you to hedge losses if you incur any losses in the garden. Now, if you've come this far, I'd just like you to subscribe, like the video if you can. Let's get this channel going. Let us help other people to learn and motivate other farmers to grow. So, moving on, we have to understand the profits in agriculture. It is not always profitable to grow produce if you don't have a good market and you don't have good agronomic practices. Is that the right word? I'll stick to agronomic. If you don't have good agronomic practices and you don't have a market, you're definitely running losses. But you build your market over time, right? You're not going to start without a product and get a market. It's not that simple. It's not like a service industry. You're going to have to go with samples to markets and show them what you have, and then they tell you what they're willing to pay for that, and then you start selling to those people. So you have to have. Now, what I did and what I've been doing is I always start small and I expand as my market expands. So starting small helps to also minimize your risk. So those are number one, variety. Plant a variety of crops so that you can get mm, different markets and you can guarantee some income from at least one or two of your crops. Number two, start small and grow. Grow your market gradually. Don't rush into it. You have 10 million Uganda shillings or three $2,500 or whatever it is equivalent to $3,000. You go in and you immediately start with 50 hectares of cabbage or whatever. That is not wise because in your first season you have no market and you have no experience. So I always suggest starting small unless you are experienced already or you are educated in the field. Then you may have some knowledge, but still you don't have market. So first generate your market, then go in and expand as your market expands. That's just my rule. You can share in the comment section what are your rules. What do you do to make sure that your projects continuously give you some income? So what I'm doing now is I'm going to water my onions and then I go in and I water the eggplants because they're on a smaller space. Meanwhile, I have a water pump that I borrowed. I'm going to take that down and start have somebody start irrigating the cabbages. I hope this has been helpful. Like, subscribe, comment, share your thoughts, share what you're doing to cut down on your risk. Cheers.